Hello, and good morning. I am John Skoda of Red Hoodie Games. Can you all hear me? Can you all see me? I think I did that backwards. There was a little Gilderoy Lockhart there. I am just going to make sure that my stream stuff is all set up and ready to go. It looks like we should be launched here. Let's go ahead and open up a notebook window there, and let me see here, because kind of looks like I'm not live. There we go. Alright, I want to know. Let's go ahead. Cool. Sounds okay. If I'm too loud or too quiet, somebody let me know. Hey, this is Red Hoodie Games' first official stream. Like I said, I'm John Skoda, owner, writer, founder of Red Hoodie Games, based out of Central Vermont. And today, I'm going to be doing a little bit of live world building. It's going to be a little less world building this time, because I wanted to try it out, see how this felt, see if I was going to be able to set this up and make this happen in the first place. So, here we are. The plan for today is to recap on sort of where my current adventuring party is at. I'm going to look through some old notes, probably going to talk about a bunch of different characters and things that I haven't introduced before, but that's okay. If you are staying tuned to see what things, what everything is, then perfect. So after that, I probably will go through just a couple of the resources that I used, and then should time permit, because I've only got 2, maybe 3 hours tops, I want to get started on a map for the Town of Two Posts supplement, which is one of the next things to be published that I'm working on. And that will be a system agnostic supplement. It will be a town with history, a virtual tabletop compatible map, tiled using pixel edit. I'm going to take a note for myself here that I should add my tools to a space on the Twitch page. I have had blog posts in the past talk about all the different tools that I use, but this stream was not intending to be that, so I don't want to linger too long on how to use this and what this is. So I'm just thrilled to be here. This is very cool. It's been a while since I've streamed, so forgive my morning nerves. But here we are. Here we go. So in the background here, and I guess I can make myself a hair bigger and slide me over. In the background here on the stream, you can see my world map, or at least continent map, for the continent of Ados. The continent of Tomarev in my homebrew universe of Ados. I can kind of move this around and give you a better sense of what it is. I think actually it might be best just to shrink this really quick and show you the world map at large, and then sort of where we're at on it. So not a world map. Keep sort of misnaming that. It's a continent map. Yeah, move that behind. Okay. Actually, let me just bring that right to the front. So this is the continent of Tomarev in my homebrew universe of Ados. It has been in the works for about 10. It'll be 10 years come this fall. I first conceptualized this map in early or mid 2012 when I was starting to write a story to play with my dad and my sisters. I was just finishing high school at the time, starting college, and I had played a couple games before with friends. We played in elementary school. I got to go and play at a couple events in bigger places. I mentioned I was from Central Vermont, so there's not FLGSs everywhere. And the community for games is harder to find than that of really big places. Not that it's impossible, but I was writing content for my family game, and I didn't bring it with me today. I don't know if I want to share that or not, but I have the original paper version of this map. That fall, I started attending Vermont Technical College, and because I had a college schedule at age 16, I was spending a lot of time coming up to my grandparents in the Montpelier-Barre area to maple sugar. And on those drives, my sister would sit in the passenger seat with me, because we would go up together, and I would pull out my paper map and one of my thick programming textbooks, and I would tell her, I'm going to tell you where things are, and I just need you to put little dots for towns and just jot names down for me, okay? This would not be possible without her, so big thanks, Maddie. And then it just grew from there. It started off with Northtide, the town in the northwest, all the way up on the coast. I guess I'm gonna begin this now, so we can sort of see where we're at and what we're talking about. So the first town actually was this little one of Piedmont. The first story that I ever wrote for a 5e game was actually we were playing 3.5 at the time. Was this town of Piedmont? It was the site of a neutral zone, or it became that, for a civil war between the humans of Northtide, way up here in the northeast, and the human kingdoms of East Castle, way down here to the southeast. Northwest, southeast. So Piedmont was this past town here. The humans couldn't fight to the south because the elves and the dwarves occupied this territory at the time. They couldn't fight to the north because the orcs occupied over here and the dwarves were over there. So for the humans to meet in battle, it was often fields either side of the Twin Lake Pass, which is here where Piedmont is. So bloody human civil war raged, and years after the Kingdom of Northtide won, and the king at the time dedicated the graveyard and chapel at Piedmont as sort of a war memorial, so that soldiers from both sides could be buried in a central neutral place, and that mourners from either kingdom would have an equitable travel to be able to mourn for their family or pay their respects. As a result, Piedmont turned into a spawning ground for undeath. I'm not going to spoil a whole lot about that because I do want to write that up as a module in the future. But Piedmont's really where it all started. I knew that I wanted to call it Twin Lake Pass. I didn't know what that looked like, so I started to build out from there. It was 2 forests, 2 lakes. I knew that it was going to be the site for the war, so I had to do east and west human kingdoms, which I did, and separated north and south as well. I could spend all day talking about the development of the world, but that's not necessarily why I wanted to be here. And definitely not what I said I was going to do. So that's just a quick snapshot of the world to give you just a sense of sort of where we're at for now. The party started in the little town of Strawford here, and so what I've got in the window is notebook.ai. Now this is this is a lifesaver, really. So I found this maybe only 2 or 3 years ago, and as you can see, I've been adding to it a lot since then. This is an incredible tool, and I really should do like a full what is it, where to find it, how to use it sort of short video. But the gist is that you can keep track of the facets of your world, what I call in other places on the blog, I've referred to this as world lore. So this is any bit of your world that contributes to anything else. If there's just a piece of grass on the ground, not necessarily world lore. If it's grass that someone historically stepped on and it has some bearing, and every 100 years a flower blooms there that you can use to brew some life-giving potion, that's world lore. So really, world lore is anything that has an impact on anything else in your world. I'm just using the free Notebook AI. Eventually, maybe I would like to do the premium, because they do have lots of cool options here. The free gets you characters, locations, and items, and then the paid gets you all of these other categories. So buildings, conditions, continents, deities, floras. Floras would be great. Lore, magic, planets, races, religions, schools, sports, traditions, towns, vehicles. Landmarks. One of my party asked me 2 or 3 weeks back now if there were any natural wonders in the world, and I was like, huh, never even thought about that. But of course there are, whether I know there are or not. So this is incredibly cool. I have gotten by with just using characters, locations, and items. You can get pretty clever with locations. So I do have, let me pull this up. The location index for Atos is just this Google sheet that I've got, where I've got location names. Location here refers to the region. Name refers to the town, point of interest, what have you. Type is what it is. Prominent race is just so I get a quick snapshot of the culture of the place. So if it's a dragon's lair, a black dragon. And I haven't filled all of this out, obviously. This was something I made a long time ago, right before I found Notebook, and I could start plugging all of this stuff in here. And if you look at something here, and all of these, of course, are not very fleshed out. Let me grab 2 posts, because I was talking about that earlier. 2 posts is a town, so I've got the town here. The pub is a restaurant in the place. So this is locations. I think they mean points and places, but you can use it for whatever. The other benefit to this is the writing side with the documents. The benefit to all of this is that you can tag things here and there. I haven't needed to do it in this document yet, but in previous prep I have done it a lot. Whereas you're typing, if I need to be like, this takes place in 2 posts. While you're writing, it does give you the tags. A little annoying, but if I go back to this document later on, I can click through things. So the document is linked on the 2 posts page. If I include the restaurant, the 2 post pub, I can include Howie Bryndon, the operator of the pub, and all of that stays linked and connected. That's the huge power that I benefit from by using Notebook. So that's I've spent 15 minutes talking about tools and how I have done this now. I said that this was going to be prep and narrative, so I'll go ahead and just reread the recaps that I've been doing for the group, and that is how we'll get caught up. For people who are curious, everyone in this group has started at level 1. We agreed on a standard stat array well, it's not standard. We agreed on a non-standard stat array, and so all new level 1 characters start with a stat array of 16, 15, 13, 12, 10, and 6. And most races and classes and backgrounds are allowed, with the exception of a handful. And so, without further ado, allow me to introduce to you Strawford and the Chronicle of Goblin Mountain. The small farm town of Strawford in the Kingdom of Eastcastle is primarily agrarian. The town is called home by many farmers, millers, animal caregivers and keepers, and other professions to support the farm and trade industries. The town is pleasant, with a close-knit feel among the farm community, and a small split between the farmers and the merchants and traders who travel between Rockdale and Eastcastle, and often complain about the pile of dung in the road that is Strawford. The roads aren't well cared for there, as animals are rotating and moving around far too much to merit the town caring or being able to do something effectively. Often, every few years, during a drier summer, the town officials will recruit volunteers to help reroute traffic. You can think of the town map for Strawford as being like a 3-lane MOBA map. So if you've ever played Heroes of the Storm, League of Legends, Dota, something like that, the town effectively has 3 roads that run sort of on the north side, right through the middle, and sort of on the south side. So every few years they rotate which one of those is the primary road used by the traders who are going from the capital to the other smaller villages. After they move the roads, people build new farmhouses and they rotate crops, and life goes on. Between the nearby river and the wetlands and all of the travel, irrigation here happens very naturally, and the soil produces large, bountiful yields. The locals keep this knowledge to themselves as much as they can, and often revel in their success during the autumn harvest time festivals. This year, the road goes over the north side of town, around the central shops and the trade markets of the center, and just below some of the farthest homes to the north side of town. A few miles north from town leads to the wetlands that surround the river, and beyond that, the hills and mountains of a range called the Legs. Today, at the time, in Strawford, a group of unlikely companions found themselves summoned by a calling known as adventure. That was sort of our Session 0. Session 1, where is Goblin Mountain anyway? I do have a custom calendar and pantheon for my universe of Ados. None of that is released yet, though I mentioned in the blog post, if you've been following those, that I wanted to rewrite the primer to the universe of Ados, and those might be included in there. So stay on the lookout for that if you want to know more about the world. The date at the time in our game is the 14th of Solea, which is June, I believe. The party begins gathered around a knoll campsite. Last session they had slain a trio of creatures, looted their camp. They had 2 makeshift hide and branch tents, 2 hide bedrolls that they've laid around the area, and a small fire burning, over which appears to be scraps that remain from a large stag leg that the gnolls had obtained the day prior. The bone rests in the crook of 2 thick Y-shaped branches dug into the ground on either side to make a spit, and a smoky chewed-upon serving or 2 remain on the blackened bone. The sun is mid-set, the air is cool, the breeze is warm. The leaves rustle gently, and the fire crackles. Smoke, burnt meat, and the iron of recent blood spilled wafts through the evening air as the party mulls around their campsite. The party at this point had made it into the hills north of Strawford. You can see where the river transitions to wetlands and then to hills there on the map. Put it sort of like right next to, they are just right north of Strawford, just across the river there. Goblin Mountain is rumored to be to the northwest in the mountain range that is the Legs. there was a fourth knoll that they didn't notice and that ran away. I don't think any of them are listening right now, but little do they know that knoll might end up being their saving grace later on. The party did decide to head towards the mountain pass, and then from there they had two sort of options, and this is sort of how I'm taking my notes in the notebook doc here. I don't know if that is terribly legible or not. I'm gonna move some of the stream stuff around. If this is awful, let me know, but I'm trying to make it easier to see. Okay. So these are just session notes that I've taken. There we go, that looks a little better. The party originates in Strawford 2 weeks after. I'm not going to read this to you. I hate that when people do that. You can skim this if you'd like. Effectively, the party is tracking beasts and goblins across the land. We did character generation in that session 0. They did battle some quippers, and I didn't mention it, but they are using. I'm doing sort of a combination of combat XP and milestone XP. So they are getting combat XP, and then for solving puzzles, for RP interactions. On that session 0, one of the party slayed 5 of the quippers themselves. I forget what they used for that. It was a sorcerer, so not terribly surprising, but I gave a little bonus XP there. So after that, they continued on, and so then they had the choice here. They could go northwest through the hills into the mountains, or due west out of the hills back to the river. So, gosh, I wish this map was a hair easier to move around within this. So, can I put a drawing on here? I can't. That's okay. Because what I can do is this. So I can kind of give, actually, it might be better just to do a letter V here, huh? Yeah, I'll just do that. Alright, so at this point, the party... There we go. Alright, so the party went from Strawford across the river into the hills there, and then they decided they wanted to move back towards the river, heading more sort of due west. They went back to the river, they reclaimed some water. They do have a ranger in the party, so or a druid, so they can obtain food and water when they need it effectively for free, provided that it is there. And the hills here are particularly arid, and so they needed to make it back to refill their water skins. After that, however, right where it transitions from hill to mountain, just about there, south of there is a path, sort of an animal path, that leads down from the hills and the mountains to the river. And so they found this, and they started to head up the way. There was this fun the Goblin Poo prank trap. If you're looking for any ideas there, a player can step on a hardly hidden board, pulls a string tied to a contraption that whips like a little trebuchet, and throws a gob of goblin poo at a character. Pretty funny moment there. The character who got gob-pooed to the face, took it pretty well. And then, after following that little animal wildlife corridor into the mountains, they got to a spot, a little clearing, and decided that they were going to rest. And so during this rest, one of them, rolling for their perception, rolled a nat 1. So they slipped over a tree root, hit the back of their head, and blacked out. And in the night, while the party was resting, they were kidnapped by the goblins. And so at the start of session 2, which was titled "I See Why They Call It Goblin Mountain," as the party comes to, they find themselves in shoddy earthen cells with crudely crafted iron bars. Gwenna, this is the druid, makes a fungal mold of the keyhole to her cell. So with druid craft, she can make small plants grow. So she put a little dirt on her hand and held her hand up to the keyhole and let the fungi grow into the keyhole so she'd have a mold. Now, fungi is not sturdy enough to actually be able to turn the lock, but that was an incredibly clever use of a druid craft cantrip. And then, after that, because arousing suspicion from the guards, the nearest goblin jailer starts to come in, and she creates bonfires under him and roasts him toasty. So they roasted him, the keys laid just on the ground outside of one of the cells, and the party can hear the soft but crescendoing sound of more goblin footfalls coming their way. If they mean to escape, they must do so quickly. They did. The sorcerer threw a mage hand to bring the keys over to Gwenna, or it might have been another character who they sent the keys to. It was Bina, who is an Owlin guru. The guru is a homebrew class of my own invention. It is not available publicly yet. I think after a little bit of tune-up that by the end of this next week, so by March 25th, the Guru will be available. A playtest version of the Guru will be available either on RedHoodieGames.com or Reddit. And probably go on the Unearthed Arcana Reddit as well, cross-posted from r/RedHoodieGames. So if you're not following on any of those places, please go ahead and do so. So they got the keys, they unlocked the cells, they started to make their way out. They battled some goblins. They didn't have any of their gear. It was all confiscated from them, so they had to spend a little bit of time going through the key ring and trying different chests and cabinets in the jail area. They did manage to find their stuff, barely just in time, and then start to make their way out from the cells. Yeah, let me get into Roll20 here and show you the Goblin Mountain map. I think that will be okay. If anybody from the party is watching or is watching this after the fact and you don't want Goblin Mountain spoiled, stop. And if I detect that somebody has seen something that they shouldn't, we'll put an end to that as well. So this is the Roll20 Goblin Mountain map. It is made in Pixel Edit. It's PYXELEDIT. That is a, I think it's, I'm going to double check right here. This is Pixel Edit. Check it out. This is incredible. I think it's $10. It might even be free. $9 now. So this is a no-brainer. You have tiles just like that. You draw the tiles just like you like, and then you can just click and place them wherever. The free version is still available. Okay. So yeah, check out the free version if that's just what you're interested in. But it is really, really, really cool. If we get to it later in the stream, I can pop that application open and start to do a little bit of work on 2 posts in there. I am not an artist, so if pixel art and art is scary, this is not that bad. And I'm thinking about, I might give away my tile set or make it available for sale. I need to find out if I can. But with that, you can create maps just like this. And this is not, I mean, this is functional, right? It's not gorgeous, it's not beautiful, but it gets the point across and it's functional, right? You know that these are torches, that these are doors, that these are barrels, it's a well or a hole. The red and pink coloration that you see is verticality on the map. So what is, I'm gonna back up and get a little bit. This is a huge, it's a pretty big map. It's a 50 by 50 tile map, so it's 250 feet by 250 feet in game space. This is a good spot over here. So over here, this is sort of how this would look. The darker red is about 20 feet below the gray, and then the light pink is 20 feet above the gray. So you can think of this spot as being just a walkway, right? This is your base floor, okay? These are columns and walls, and then these are open gaps deep down into the mountain. These falls go hundreds of feet. If you go in there, you're done. So unless somebody can save you. So if you were standing, and you can see it. I was meticulous with the tiles here that this is walled off. So there's a wall there. There's not a wall there. So here you could fall. From here also you could look, you'd get 15-20 feet, and then 20 feet down you'd be looking over and down at this other walkway down below. A lot of the ups, downs, left, rights of this were inspired by Tolkien depictions of goblins and goblin mountains. So I'm thinking Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, stuff that you see in there where they're, or even I've been playing Dark Alliance on Game Pass. I won't talk about it too much, but super fun game. If you ever read any of the Legend of Drizzt books, Drizzt or Drist, either way is fine. Then oh man, it's such a good game. But the goblin architecture is just rope bridges and really shoddy made like ladders and weird construction things, and it's all of the, you've got this rope bridge that goes this way, and there's this tunnel that goes this way, and then there's a platform over here. It's convoluted and weaving, and in a 2D space it was a little challenging to suss out, but this is how I've managed to do it. So the red is 20 feet down and 20 feet over. I don't make my players do any Pythagorean anything. It's just over, up, down. So the flip side to that is that if you were standing up here, if you were standing up here, you could see down to this ledge. So unbeknownst to the players, right, there are some goblin archers up on this ledge that sort of watch down. This is a dormitory. All of these on these bedrolls are considered, are considered sleeping. So the party, we'll get there when I recap a little further. I wanted to talk about the map and share the verticality, mention pixel edit, and bring that up. I'll put that on the list of things that I need to put on the Twitch page. So yeah, that's the map. So the party were kidnapped, taken into the cell. Bina, Gwen, and Mome, 3 of the characters, were able to make their way out. So part of what I'm doing with this, and this is another sort of side tangent, but is important for context and understanding how I do things. In the past, I have run really big narrative campaigns. The first full feature-length one that I have unofficially written, it's not anywhere close to publication, but the content is created, ran for 2.5 years with my party. And we had some things here and there, got off track, but it was very long, and there were lots of moments where we were about to solve a puzzle or get an artifact or talk to somebody that had key information, so that if somebody had to miss a session, they felt like they were missing a lot. And so we would either wait, and I would do Tales from Ados, these TFAs, these offshoots, or we'd play without them and we'd fill them in and be like, oh well, I hope that's okay. It didn't feel great, so I've changed the way that I'm running the game, and now I have about 12 sessions, 12 weeks, 3 months, for an arc, for a story. So right now they're in the Chronicle of Goblin Mountain. That's going to be this 12-week session thing. That's going to be the module after, is going to be like, this is, shoot for 8 to 12 weeks of this. Here's the map. Here's all of what you need. Go ham. So that's what I'm trying to do. So some of the players who can or can't make it on any given day or week can just swap in and out. And I have narrative tools in place that let me make that easier for me and for the rest of the party. So about half the party made their way south and east from the cells. They discovered a literal crap hole, a goblin armory, a dormitory, a secret room, and a warg patrol. Meanwhile, their abandoned companions make their own plans to escape. So that's the start of the session tonight. Tonight will be session 3. As Bina, Gwenna, and Mome make their way south and east from the cells, they discover a crap hole, literally, a goblin armory, a dormitory, a secret room, and a warg patrol. Meanwhile, their abandoned companions make their own plans to escape. So Mome, Gwenna, Bina are over here. They have adventured from the cells. Here are the cells. You can see the other party members. We have Mira, Errol, and Duxby over here. I am expecting to have one more person join us tonight. I think my dad's gonna join the party and help out. I forget who he's playing. Catfolk Monk, I think. So he'll just get chucked down in here, and that will actually be how I'm gonna lead into this. So I'm gonna jot myself some notes down for book 3 here, and this is usually how I do my session prep, right? So I won't go into this long explanation of the recap. I'll just do the recap for myself and tell myself what I need to know. But that's the process. So parties captured in cells. There's a Gabo Wiz named Zigmalb, and the king is going to be Wogbrut. I might make a Queen Wogbrut too, because the idea of a nasty goblin lady is interesting as well. Session 3. Let me see what I called this one. Round and round the prisoners go. Where they stop, the goblins don't know. New cleric going to be thrown into cells, or nope, monk. I'm just gonna say new care. New care to be thrown into cells. Other gobos will leave. New set of guards for the prison side team. So new goblins will come in. So the I'll get a party of 3 goblins, just like these. I can probably do this right now. Copy and paste them up there. One of the exits is up this way. And so they will be coming down from up there, that hall, with the other character between them. And so they'll come in, put the other character in the cells, the other goblins will leave, and then they'll sort of forget about the ones that escaped. Goblins are not tremendously smart, and there's not really a whole lot of places for a prisoner to go, so they're not all that concerned about them actually escaping. New set of guards for the prison side team. So the new set of guards will serve to give them a little bit of XP bump. I think... Yeah, so Duxby, Errol, and Mira are all level 2. They all did level up. But I think the current party is a step ahead. So I'm not stressing out about keeping everybody the same level. Part of that too is that the people that I play with have very different levels of experience in the game, and have different hopes for it. So typically 2 out of the 6 to 8 people I play with from time to time will play tanky characters. If you don't know, it's somebody who has high armor and a lot of hit points. They are the frontliner, the warrior. Although they usually don't play warriors. They usually try to do weird builds for it. But 2 of 8 will play tanks. This party doesn't have a barbarian, cleric. They've got a druid. Nope, no barbarian, no cleric, no paladin, no artificer, druid. But I don't know. She's playing very hybrid, which is great. So they don't have a typical makeup, and so they have to change roles a little bit here and there. There's 2 rogues in this group, right? And so one of them is the stabby, pickpocket, get close one, and the other one's a range, sneaky, look around one. And they do a great job of splitting these sort of responsibilities up. But it's also cool to see if you have misleveled player characters in your party, higher level characters who typically wouldn't be in a role doing that role. So I'm thinking if the druid levels up a bit more, gets more health, more options for the wild shape, then they may be able to be like, oh, okay, I'll take a couple hits for you guys who are still level 2 catching up, you know? So that's sort of what I'm hoping will happen by doing that. So give these guys some gobos so that they can fight and get a little bit of XP. And then... Oh, you know what else I should do? They're through, but they are not. Mouse cord's a little jank. Alright. So, I think I am gonna hide... I think I want to hide the map again on them. Because at least one of these players is probably not going to be great at not knowing. As much as you hope your players don't metagame, it's very, very hard for human beings to do that. I think I'm just going to leave it. That's okay. So new guards to the prison side team, and then we want to resolve. We want to resolve the encounter with the escape team and give them a new sense of false security. They're not running away anymore. So when they first broke out originally, they tried to go north, and they saw, because it's pretty well lit. Remember, pink is 20 feet up and red is 20 feet down. So from this watch pillar out here, you're standing on a little pillar. There's this tiny little walkway to get out there. And then up and to your left, there's this raised platform with columns and fires and table goblins dancing and reveling and feasting bones and bits of meat and what have you going this way and that. And then down 20 feet below you on your right, over here, there is the goblin king or queen's throne meeting chamber. They're very central, so that when they start shouting and yelling, hopefully more goblins hear them. The whole place is pretty loud. It's easy to sort of sneak around and be quiet here. And so that's sort of the party's safety. If they want, they can fight the whole. If they want, they can fight the whole mountain. Yeah, I mean, at some point, if they make it and are able to stay safe enough, they will outlevel the goblins, and they'll just be able to cruise through here. We'll see how that goes. So, previously, these guards were gonna investigate here and then sort of chase down, try to find the other group. Now that there is going to be a new prisoner brought in, goblins' short attention spans, they don't care. Those other guys are going to get captured or lost or killed one way or another, so they're not all that worried about them. So I do want to give these guys, I think I'm going to give this team a good 20 minutes at the start of the session, maybe even a half an hour. I hate to do that much, but we play 3-hour sessions, so that's for a frame of reference for you to have for how much of a session that would be for us. Prison side team, resolve the encounter with the escape team and give them the sense that you don't hear all the clattering. They may be able to hear echoes of the goblins who just captured the new character. So they will be able to, I will convey to them that they're not fleeing anymore. And if they wanted to, they could start to backtrack to try to get back to their companion, or they could keep going around. Oh, gosh, excuse me. It's been a crazy week, and I have not been sleeping as much as I should be, so forgive me there. I'm just very excited about all of this. So they may be able to hear the echoes of the goblins. So the goal will be to reunite the party, ideally, and then let them continue to explore. I don't have, normally when I do a dungeon, a classic dungeon like this, I'll go ahead and put room numbers in, and I'll give myself this big long list of, here's room number 1, it's a 10 by 15 foot such and such that contains these things. I mean, let me see, Weeping Caverns did that, Murderous Minions did that, I'm pretty sure. Let me look at this one real quick. Yeah, so I had all the doors and all the rooms. I had a physical paper map, but it was, oh, you're at room 4. I know what it is. You are in room 19. We know what it is. We know what's there. I kind of forgot about this dungeon too, actually. Sometimes you write so much stuff you kind of forget that you have written some cool stuff because it's just sort of fallen by the wayside. His face is carved into a beautiful grimace of pain and agony, one hand holding a rock on the wall to hold himself up, the other clutching at his chest. Though there is no wound or weapon, the evidence thereof remains a small blade-like slot in the chest of the statue, reaching all the way through to the back. A long sword or a short sword would likely do the trick. At the base of the statue, there is an old carved marble plaque. Clearing the moss off, in Elvish it reads, Seraphos, the false prophet. May he suffer as many eternities of pain and misfortune as he caused with his lies. Man, I gotta explore Seraphos more. I do this to myself a lot. This is world lore, right? I have found bits of world lore that I don't have organized exactly the way that I would like to. And there's little digs like that. And I think that part of why I wanted to stream too is so that maybe I could get a little better at keeping track of those things. So I could spend a little more time immersed in my world. I'm as a world builder, you don't often get to live in your world. You have to be above it and around it and inside of it in insidious and omniscient ways, which are great, but you don't get the feelings that your players get when you discover things. And if I'm an elf, then do I know who Seraphos was, and do I care? And that's world lore that is pretty important, and so cool way to do it. All right, reunite the party ideally, and I do this too when I start writing and session prepping. I get all over the place. I do sticky notes, big thick stack. So that I can be jotting down things that I want to do or remember or write more about. Oh my gosh, I needed a tea or a coffee this morning. I haven't had a coffee in a long time. I drank coffee a lot in college, first year or two, and then my stomach started to really not like it. So I stopped, and I have had it once or twice, like camping in the past 2 or 3 years, but not regularly and not in the mornings. So reunite the party and then let them prod around. I kind of know what's what. I mean, I could go around. This is a large entry hall, super guarded, and exits into a goblin station. Like a scout station or a watch station. It's not going to be a viable, like they are going to be hard pressed to continue up that way. I think they're going to have to find their companions and try to navigate or find some other way. I think also that they may have to engage in some of the verticality. They've only been on the main floor so far, so that is interesting to see. Let them explore. Hope no one dies. That's so. I do my prep. I try to do as much as I can ahead of time, and it's not a. This is not. I don't advise that people do this. This is how to get burnt out and how to spend way more time working on your stuff than you need to. You over prep and you make sure that no matter what, even if that party member wants to eat that weird looking green rock, I know what it's going to do to him. I don't know what would happen if they ate the green rock. There are a few things in here that I will wing or improv as we go along, but for the most part, you can, as you build a map or as you build an adventure and encounter, whatever the scale is really, as you go about building that, you will get familiar with it and you won't have to necessarily write down or keep track of, like, oh, this is just a little sleeping chamber, locked cabinet. This was a hidden place. It had loot in it. Let me see, make an investigation roll. Now, while the party's making the investigation roll, I'm over here grabbing my random treasure generator to tell them what's inside this little goblin thing. And they've got 21 silver, a block of soap, a platinum coin, and a string of wooden beads. I might do items, I might do salvage. I like treasure hoards if I'm trying to give them a little bit more. 5 healing potions, jeez. They might they might need them. But yeah, I mean, that's how I go about it mid-session. Most of the goblins carry a D12 worth of gold. Some are a D6. You can kind of roll. It doesn't. There is no standardized amount of money that a goblin has, right? If you were gonna put, how much money do you start? Like, if you were going to make a character in real life, and you were going to try to do starting funds for a randomly generated human, and you were like, well, this number is going to be anywhere between 0 and 400 billion. You can't, there's no good distribution that you're going to get on any reasonable combination of dice, right? If you roll a D100 or a percentile die, the most you're going to get is 1 through 100. So 100 categories of wealth that divide 0 and 400 billion. It's wild. So goblins don't do that. I roll a D4, a 6, an 8, or a 12, and that's how much gold they have. They've also all got pretty standard stuff. All the environmental stuff on here, and I didn't explain that terribly well. The wooden, these are rope bridges that go horizontal. These, despite this looking weird, this is really just so I had to draw it on the map this way because verticality is tricky, but you can see that this goes, it's underneath here, right? So you have to go from down here under that passage. Remember, red is 20 feet below. This icon here in this square is a piece of hide stretched over an entryway. So past that piece of hide, you start to climb this ladder, and it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. It's a 40-foot ladder that goes straight up. This is just an abstraction for me to be able to be like, where are you on the ladder? Because there are goblins who could shoot at you, there are goblins who could trap you there. Shuffling and falling on the ladder, being able to grab, like that was important. And so I didn't have the room to do 40 feet straight like that or like that. So I put it into this mess that net me 40 feet. So little clever business there, but the metal bits there are for vertical movement. The crates are on barrels. We've got some smithing little stuff, and I've drawn all of these tiles. The tokens are not mine. The tokens are Roll20s. I have drawn all of the tiles. All of that is 100% me. So we've got, little weapon racks. They put that torch out. That's why that's up there. We got little forge stuff, the bedrolls, the hides. If you look really close at some of this stuff, you've got bottles and stuff, and then I even did little dining plates and mugs. All of that represents what that is in the game space for the party to be able to interact with. So each of these drink cabinets have a small chance at having a potion in the bottom, but they need the cabinet key. These red dots are stools at a bar. I could have changed the colors on them, but I I don't want thousands of tiles. I try to keep my tile set pretty concise, so that I can find what I'm looking for when I need it. You got these that are a little, just a little sort of railing. Goblins don't have OSHA, but they still don't want to fall into the abyss. I've got, this is a fun spot, the little S there is for secret. Normally I don't do stuff like that. Normally, you can see here, this tile is a trick wall. So if all the party could see was this and this, you know, without being able to see down here, if I hadn't revealed that, all they would see is the same wall texture, except I turn the hidden walls sideways too, so there's a little bit of a visual hint for anyone who's paying enough attention. But that's a little secret spot up there. This is a place I lovingly call the shit pits. It's the goblin bathrooms. Surprisingly, these goblins are sophisticated enough to keep their waste in one place. Fortunately for them, it just falls down deeper into the mountain, and at the bottom of this mountain, who knows what gross crap is down there. Probably an Otyu, at least. And who knows what else, right? This is one location that could be built and developed into so much more. And this one piece of this map, and this is something I'm not going to do for a long time, because it's wild and big, and I do this a lot. I get really wild, big ideas that I don't finish or I can't actualize. So it would be cool at some point, perhaps, to have a version of this map that is, you can scale through the layers of it. Goblins probably have more than 3 layers there, right? They probably got like 10, but I'm not going to put all of those on one thing. So if you went down a layer, everything that's gray would turn pink. Everything that is red would turn gray, and then there'd be the extra red layer below. So you could click, ideally, you could click through like the 10 layers of this map. I think I can achieve that on Pixel Edit. It's going to take a long time. I didn't do this map the best. The layering for this map is a little messy because I tried to get so much verticality, and part of me being able to understand where I was putting things was having the layers labeled. So realistically, any gray, pink, or red spot could be all on the same layer within the Pixel Edit document. Unfortunately, I didn't do that because I have the gray layer, and then the gray decoration and the gray steps, and then the red with the red decoration and the red steps and verticality and the same, and so on. So I didn't arrange this map brilliantly when I first set it up, but that's a separate issue. So yeah, that's our first hour. And I'm ready to go for session. I know what the party's going to be doing. I'm all set for them to explore. I can get loot if they need it. I know what all the rooms are. There's probably a couple of things that I don't necessarily know that I'll have to figure out come session time. If the party does go down or get captured again, are they going to be killed or what? Excuse me. Originally, it was my idea that these adventurers at level 1 or 2 would not stand a chance against a horde of goblins. So if they do get spotted or captured again, they'll be brought to face the king or queen, and probably Goblin King. We'll stick with that. King Wogbrut. And so they'll be brought before him, and they can grovel They could try to bribe him. They could try to continue to flee and run. I think what's going to end up happening is that they will probably not get captured again, but they won't get out. They won't wildly succeed. And they'll have to make a deal and agree to help the goblins in exchange for their freedom. I started writing this, so full spoilers for how this came to be. I draw a lot of inspiration from the media that I consume. This is not unique to me. I'm sure everybody does that. When I started working on this adventure, I had just watched the Bender's Big Game, the Futurama movie, and so I love it. It's one of my favorites. And as part of that, Bender's in there going nutty, getting lost in the world, and then he's like, all right, I'm off to go slay the werewolf of Goblin Mountain. I was like, the werewolf of Goblin Mountain, you say? So they are in Goblin Mountain. This is the Chronicle of Goblin Mountain. Part of their conditions and terms of their freedom might be to help the goblins slay the werewolf of Goblin Mountain. I really hope that somebody in the group gets the reference. I don't know that they're as big of Futurama fans as me, but it should be pretty good. Should be pretty good either way. So that's that. That's sort of the first big chunk that I wanted to do. That's the recap. That's my prep. We're ready. So I've got about another half hour, 40 minutes. Let's dig into Pixel Edit here. Yeah, let me see about this. Let me see how I can best quickly suss this out. I think I could just do a window capture, huh? Yeah, right? I think so. Let me try this. It's been a long time since I have streamed and used OBS, so cool. Let me get me over here, and we'll make this a little bit bigger. Cool. So, yeah, we'll move this world map over. We'll get this V over. So they are, they were camping just about here at this hex, and then they proceeded into the mountain. Well, they were camped. They don't know how deep into the mountains they are. They're not that far. So probably about that. And so here's Pixel Edit. This thing is insanely cool. Let me show you what I was talking about on Goblin Mountain. Oh, I moved where it was. Okay. You guys can't see my document thing here, can you? No, brilliant. Okay, cool. I have to find the file. Ados Maps Goblin Mountain V1. Because I would like to redo this eventually with much cleaner layers. So so this is it. This is Pixel Edit. I probably should split these up. That's alright. We'll just keep going on the same one. This is Pixel Edit. Normally you'd start with just you tell it how many tiles wide and the tile width and height. I think I use 70 because that was the default on Roll20, and I wasn't sure at the time if you could change it. Actually, let me double check that. Oh, you guys can't see this, can you? So yeah, you can't change the pixel size for a square on Roll20. It has to be 70/70 as far as I know. So that's why I went with that, and then you just tell it how many cells. So for this one, that is a 50 by 50. This is what I've got set up for Goblin Mountain. So if and when I publish this and release this map, then that will be the settings that you'll want for that. Okay, so there's that. Let me put that away for now. So that's what you would do. You'd tell it tiles wide and high. If you are just getting started with maps and you want to just do like a simple battle map, something like 20 by 20 is great. 30 by 30, 40. I mean, anything bigger than 30/30, and you're really, you're looking at something like this, that's large and sprawling. It could be a town, it could be a big dungeon, and so you could just hit create, and it gives you what it gives you. For the tiles, I'm not going to do a full tutorial here. I'll do that in another video. For the tiles, you make whatever tile you want, and you can layer them. I like to view tile indices so that I can see what tile is what where. So those are tile 0, these are tile 1, and we'll do some tile 2s. And then you can draw in those tiles, and it will populate the tile, and then you can use that anywhere else. So this is ground. These are little houses, and this is river, and so this is the river that goes through the road, and now that, and there you go. I mean, that's really, like, depending on what you do for your tiles, that's as hard as it needs to be. You do road, building, and it's just squares. You could keep it really simple like that. And then, yeah, we'll go through and do a pixel edit tutorial at some point. What I was talking about with the layers for Goblin Mountain is this stuff. So let me turn tile indices on. It's going to get real messy here. So I will do a pixel edit walkthrough so that this doesn't look quite so crazy. FB is floor basement. This is let's show only. Was it Alt? Yeah. So this is the ground. This is where you can fall through the map. All of the ground layers could theoretically get merged. I don't know. I've played around with the merging on here a little bit, and it's not. I haven't figured out quite how to make it not just break things. So, but that's just the ground floor, right? And then you've got FB. This is the basement. This is all the red. This is what's 20 feet below. Then you've got all the FB detail. So this is the stuff that occupies those red spaces, and so on and so forth. So there's two or three layers per floor to allow for the actual flooring, the decoration, and then other things that might be above or below those things. Trying to put a bunch of things on the same level is wild. So, like, check this spot out. 174 is this little the little prisoner plate and dish. That's that little tile there. So that's on the uppermost layer here, and then the detail layer is the bar. Floor 1 is the pink that's there, but then none of the other layers have anything. I think this is probably one of the more populated tiles. Most of the tiles, the most populated tiles, only have 2 or 3 things in them. So realistically, if I had planned this a whole lot better, it only would have been, I probably could have gotten away with 4 layers total instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah. I think that's probably pretty solid. And now that I realized I should do a pixel edit sort of tutorial, we'll go through that when I work on the 2 hosts town supplement. We can get that started. I just don't know how big I will need that to be. So in prep for that, going back to my sticky note over here, I need to find the graph paper map of it, because I have an original graph paper map for 2 posts. I almost always like to start on paper. I didn't for Goblin Mountain, and this is what happens when I do that. I like to have the drawing out done ahead of time, so that I could have gone in here and said, okay, I know that this like I could have said like this is the ground, so anything that represents the ground at whatever height value you're at, regardless of the layer title. So this, that, like all of this, with the exception of the decoration, would be just one flat layer. And I can do that when I have it written out ahead of time. It's a lot harder with this. I started this one totally blank. I filled it with mountain, and I decided, okay, I'm going to put entrances here, and I just started building the tunnels just like the goblins probably would have. In fact, I started with, this is funny. Let me get that Firefox window back up for you. The original Goblin Mountain, not there, was this. When they first got captured, I didn't have the map done at all. All of that map was done in a week. I sketched just this little section on Roll20. I was like, you're in cells, and there's a goblin coming down the hall, and here's this stuff really quick. I was like, bathrooms and armory, I don't know. So that's what I had. I took that and did this as my sketch. This was my paper draft. They are in the cells. I knew there was going to be a bathroom, an armory, a dorm. I think this said secrets or items, the 20 feet designation that I wanted to do. All of the square things are the base floor, the circles are down, and the triangles are up. So you can kind of get, like, this is where the king is, this is that raised platform in the middle, this is the proper exit, and from that you can kind of see, let me put that back. You can kind of see where the whole of the map came from. You know, this is that central low place, this is that raised platform, this is that other triangle, the cells, the bathroom, the armory, the dorms, so on and so forth. So it's not wild, but it is a process. So I need to do something similar. I have a graph paper map of 2 posts. I want to take that. I'm going to take a sticky note just like that and try to sketch out a little differently how I'd like it to work here, and then see how big 2 posts needs to be. Because 2 posts is also a town, so on this map the scale is 5 feet is a square, for use within the game. On the town map scale might need to be like one of these is like a 50 foot by 50 foot block, maybe not that big, maybe 25 feet. So like one of these here would represent a 5 by 5 square if it were to be blown up, so that like a house would just be a single dot, because otherwise a town map is just going to be way too huge. You know, like I said, this is 50 tiles at 5 feet is 250 feet across. If you had a town that was even a mile across, you'd need to multiply that by over 20. So you don't want 400 tiles. That's not... I don't need a fully traversable town map. It just needs to be understandable enough. And then the other stuff with the 2-post town supplement will be the character list from Notebook. Most of those characters are 2-posts characters. So it'll have the map, it'll have a breakdown of the people who live there, the businesses, the places, and not all of it too, right? There will always be that little bit of room for putting your own spin on it, or adding, or creating, or amending, or moving, what have you. People, places, quest leads. There's a handful of quests in the world in the universe of Ados on the continent of Tomarev that begin there. I'm gonna go ahead and close out of this. I don't want to save anything. Gosh, sorry, I was trying to move this around so we could get that world map back. Let me just go like this. There we go. 2-posts is up over here. Just northwest of Piedmont and southeast of Northtide. 2-posts is this wonderful caravan town, big X of roads that go right through it. On either side of that X there are 2 ancient hitching posts that have been used for hundreds of years that the town sprung up around, and then in a big circle around the town is this sort of roaming caravanassery of all sorts of different people and cultures and traders, and there are barbarians selling furs from the north, there are spice merchants from the south, exotic art dealers, alchemists, guards, paladins, wizards, what have you. So 2-posts is really a questing and adventuring hub, which I think is why it will make for a really good first town supplement. The other thing I'm working on still is the character catalog. The first one of those is available right now for free at RedHoodieGames.com. It's the backstory for Herod Mathros, the Mushroom Paladin, and a ready-to-print and play character sheet filled out for him. He's a Paladin 7 Druid 2 with a pretty cool, unique story. In fact, a little sneak peek here, if you head down the road from 2-posts, so over Piedmont Way, down past Qualm and Dalhurst, actually here, let me do this. In the backstory, if you have read or care to look at that, Mathros is originally, he serves the kingdom of Northtide, so his job as a diplomatic protection paladin was to help escort diplomats from Northtide, way over there, either via this north route, which is bad because these mountains are treacherous, or by the southern common route over to get to Therliel, the home of the Spring Elves. And then on a return journey back from Therliel to Northtide was where he found Herod's Hollow, which I now want to blow up again, which is right there. So that's the location in the world where that backstory happens. So yeah, prep for session. Little quick and dirty intro to Pixel Edit. I want to do a full thing for that, so I may do a little tutorial video at some point, and then obviously the next session prep stream. Oh gosh. The next session prep streaming Sunday will probably be next week. And And then I will probably do a much shorter version of the beginning of this, just what the party did in Goblin Mountain, where we're at on the map, in case I need any prep. And then we'll just break into Pixel Edit, and I can do a little mini tutorial there, and then get started working on the Town of Two Posts map. It's been a wild week. If you have tuned in or looked at this at all, if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, if I put it up there, I probably will. Thank you. You can follow and find Red Hoodie Games on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at RedHoodieGames. You can find us online, RedHoodieGames.com. There's a Patreon if you feel like supporting, patreon.com/RedHoodieGames. The only thing that isn't Red Hoodie Games is the email. If you feel like you want to write in and say something, ask a question, work on a project with me, get some help with some world building you're doing, whatever, it's redhoodiegame@gmail.com. There's no S on the contact email. Otherwise, you can follow here. I'll be trying to do these streams once a week. I write daily for the Red Hoodie Games blog. Yeah, I don't know. I'm diving real into it, so feel free to check it out, and thanks, and we'll see you next week. Game on.